You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
We're good. It's been nice springtime weather, so we have all the windows open in the house.
It's felt amazing. It's going to be even warmer tomorrow.
Is it?
Yeah. So tomorrow's like 78, maybe even in the 80s. Who knows?
Hot
So
town, summer
warm.
in the city.
Feels so good.
Back of my neck getting something pretty. Isn't that how it goes?
I have no idea.
How'd you think is this one of a Shaking a Baby song?
It might be, but actually I don't even have lyrics for that. I think just when that comes on, it's like one of those, you don't actually say words. You just
Right.
like pretend you're saying words, and
That's me with
the
every
radio
song.
goes off and you're like, yeah, words. Exactly.
We know music.
We do. I know a lot of songs. You know a lot of songs. I is hearing you play songs. So this would be like a great break into our topic of what I want to talk about is anxiety.
Dun, dun,
Dun dun dun. Like I try to put myself together. And
Are you a robot?
I am a robot. I try to put myself together. I've got a smudge on my glasses and it's going to drive me crazy.
Let me get the thingy.
You going to do it for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't think there's one in here. Is there one? Oh my gosh, you're my hero.
You're my hero, Ferris.
I was going to say that, but then it was like, you really are though. So I wasn't going to be silly. So you're my hero.
I love you, Ferris Bueller.
I usually try to like we talk about anxiety. We talk about that we have anxiety. We talk about that we have panic attacks. We talk about the realness of where we are in life.
Yeah.
In therapy and like the events that build you up and take you out in the shadows. Like we're not, we don't hide from those. And then we even have like moments on the show, like we're real. But when we have, or I'll speak for myself, like bouts of like when it's an anxiety day and having a hard time recording is like I shy away from. It's shy away from like I don't want to come sit up and try and record when I can barely function or form words, because that's a fun part of my anxiety is that my speech, and that's not just mine. Like that's one of the things, especially from massive amounts of trauma, is that your frontal lobe stops the function. So like this, like I'm getting worked up, your speech literally goes, and I'm noticing it get worse with me. So
when you say you're noticing it get worse, you mean your speech?
Yeah. With anxiety, like I feel like it's while the like higher part of me thinks that it is a part that has to break more for me to just like see it. It's like this healing, because I'm really having awareness of how.
Help me understand that.
I'm trying really hard. Maybe it's not that it needs to break more. Maybe it's just like it's bringing forth the awareness of how bad my speech is when I have high anxiety.
Okay.
I think it's because I'm trying to now talk through it instead of just shutting down. You're so cute. Thank you. I try
These were bad. Your glasses were dirty.
I know. I'm like, I can't see. I try to still communicate. So I'm trying to learn how to communicate through really activated moments. And it's like, well, that should have something that you figured out. I know how to communicate in active moments. I know how to like take control and like power through and push. But when you are just going to sit in the uncomfortable and be vulnerable in that moment and still figure out how to articulate what you're feeling and speak your needs and be accountable and present, that's a different way to communicate during triggers. Right. And so when that happens, my vocabulary goes offline. Like I feel like I sound like I'm having a medical condition. It goes offline. It's not quite that bad, but it's a little intense. So that was just kind of happening. And I was trying to prep myself for the episode and being like, oh, I don't feel like I can do it. Because listening to my body, when like we just jumped right in. So like I'll just hopefully we can backtrack.
There's nothing to backtrack, baby.
trying to prep myself and also listening to my body when there's things that it is not beneficial for me to persevere and push through. I'm getting out of society's demands of persevering and pushing through and showing up and doing the hard things. And that's how you show how strong you are when you keep, I'm like, oh, also, I'm going to show how strong I am by saying, I'm going to let this stuff go.
Right.
I'm going to let this fall aside. The stuff that I can't, like, then it's like a matter of like keeping things going. Yeah, there are things that I can't just let drop. But the things that like we get into the mentality that it's everything that we can't let drop. And I'm saying, oh yeah, you can. And I'm letting things go.
That's good.
Is
it hard?
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. But also seeing the beauty of not, like, why we're here today is like, I wanted to show this. Like, I'm sitting up here going to wing it just based off of how I'm feeling, just showing like these real life practical things. This is how I'm feeling right now. This is what I've done today. I didn't even put on makeup for this episode. There's like not even mascara. I put on a little bit of chapstick, but that's just because my lips were dry. It's not even tint. There's nothing. I didn't prep. It was just like, come be in the moment and show what's happening. Let's talk about what we did today. Let's talk about where your anxiety levels are at today, where mine are at, what I did, what I'm feeling, the way my brain is bouncing, just to like normalize in a different way. Like, we are in the thick of it, or I am in the thick of it right now with my anxiety and trying to function and trying to take care of things. And so I just want to show it.
I think that's incredible.
What about you?
I think it's amazing that you just want to show it in this really vulnerable, raw way.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's not funny.
It's
like,
really, like
here's
my
a
hair.
joke.
Look at my hair, still like snarly. I didn't even brush my hair. I'm just like here in all my glory. Like, this is what anxiety looks like.
Are you comfortable? We don't obviously have to go into detail because they'll be able to listen to that podcast. But, it kind of started intensifying yesterday.
It did start intensifying.
Are you
yesterday.
okay going back a little bit and kind of sharing a little bit about yesterday?
I am.
So we had Tiffany and Brad Lancaster on the podcast a few episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great episode if you haven't listened to it.
You should go listen to it.
It's really, really good. And they have a podcast called the True Life Balance Podcast. And we had the opportunity to go down.
We had the honor.
Yes.
It was so much fun.
So yesterday we went down to Orem, which is a place here in Utah. And they record their podcast out of this really neat recording studio called Rookery Studios. And so we got to go down there, hang out with them. Did this amazing episode. It was like this super in-depth, awesome episode with them. But it's completely different, right?
Yeah.
Because we're the guests this time. So they're asking us all the questions and we're answering all of them. And it was, truthfully, it was us sharing our story about how we met in our life and the progression of our relationship over the past 11 years.
Yeah. There was something that happened, like an awareness, like a trigger that I had that wasn't talked about. Obviously, I wasn't going to talk about it. I say obviously. So we have, like, before this talk, like, what started this. First of all, I'm nervous because, oh my gosh,
Right
we're
now?
going to go. No, like at the time.
Oh,
I am
yeah,
nervous right now. Absolutely. I'm fucking nervous.
Yeah, yesterday.
But like going and being on their podcast and like how to show up, hoping we do a good job. We were working on, how do I say it? We
like
had
what happened on the way there?
Yeah, we had my brain isn't working.
We had a bit of a conflict that we had to work through.
Conflict. Thank you. That's the word. We were working through a conflict. We were working on our conflict resolution and both of us activated and trying to, so we did a good job.
Conscious, compassionate conflict resolution.
Yes.
And we did do a good job.
We did.
But it took the entire drive, which is an hour.
Yeah.
And it didn't leave us much time to kind of decompress. And
we had 10 minutes because you were like, okay, we've got 10 minutes before we get there. Do you want to hit this next one? And I'm like, no, I want to sit here and be with silence for a minute and breathe.
So we were able to get through what we needed to get through.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And then we got to go do this great episode with them. And the episode was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be out. It might be out now.
It might be.
If you follow us, we're definitely going to be sharing it. But it was hard because we talked about our relationship.
We did. But even before that, like, it's a cool recording studio.
Yes.
I like it. I like their setup.
It's
it is
way
cool. But it was just like, I don't know, like it threw me. The cameras, like we have a camera, like it's here, but just the way that it was, what it tricked, because there's nothing wrong with the room. The room is great. So when you're hearing this, like it is awesome. It is a comfortable setting. Brad and Tiffany do an amazing job.
Yes, they do.
I mean, as we'll get to, like just how amazing of a job they did. It's funny that they're just like beginning, that they're just starting, because they are.
Yeah, they just started their podcast.
They're so good.
Yeah.
But it took me back to a trigger of being a child and being in an interview room for having to give my statement as a kid of a crime that was committed against me. And I hadn't thought about that for so long, but for some reason, that's just the way it was set up. It was just like the person came in, checked the camera, and then left, and then the door shut, and then it was just here, and now we're going to talk and be vulnerable. And it was just like the lighting was in the camera, and I was like, whoom. And I was transported back to that. So I have that kind of anxiety going on, and just like, oh, and now we're going to get vulnerable.
Yeah, we got very vulnerable.
We got very vulnerable. So we have like this conflict. I'm in a PTSD moment that I didn't know was a PTSD moment, because I hadn't been transported back there till all of a sudden. And like, I keep getting more memories from it. But obviously it's not, it's not that moment that is, it's what was happening. And anyways, all the things. So it was just that talking about it, having to say, here's my thing. And then we said like more, here's our thing, and got very vulnerable.
See, it's crazy because you had a PTSD flashback.
Yes.
And that's exactly.
And it rocked me.
Like that's what those are, right? That they're, those are portrayed in film and movie and TV and all that kind of stuff in such a different way sometimes than the reality of what they really are and what they feel like. But that's what you had. Mm-hmm. I didn't know at the time. You did an amazing job of kind of persevering through all of it.
Thank you.
Because I was oblivious.
Yeah.
Not because I'm uncaring. It's just you didn't show any of that. And
it's one of my trauma superpowers.
And then we had that really intense conversation with them. So that's where your anxiety got heightened. Right? And then it's just kind of been at a peak level.
Yeah, I haven't really been able to come down. Yeah. I've been trying.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So some of like the, like I know I'm going to look back because I'm being strong here and just like showing up and like, you've got a good camera now. Like, I mean, it was a good camera before. It was just like, you can see everything. And I'm like, I'm not even putting on makeup. And that's such a, like, I feel at one point, like it feels so silly and shallow and superficial for that to be like a thing. But at the same point it is. I can go throughout the day without makeup. That's fine. I do it all the time. But on camera, it's just different. There's this different mentality. And I don't wear a ton of, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do nervous makeup. Like I'm talking about it too much now. But just the fact that I'm not even trying. I'm just like, here we go. I didn't even see if I have food in my teeth. I'm just like here and going to walk through the rawness of it and steps that I did today and wins that I had today and moments that I felt like a deer in the headlight. I felt so scared and I was just like looking at you like, please, like soothe my soul. I'm so scared right now. I wanted to come up and talk about attachment styles. And
that's a good combo.
It is a good one. But instead I'm like, why am I trying to come up with something other than what's happening? I am like feeling like I'm hanging on, just barely hanging on. Am I doing a great job? Can you tell? Not really.
No.
Because
But
that's
inside,
another
right?
part of it. This is like the face of it. You have the down and the out and in bed and not able to do anything, the reactive. Everything is like, you know, people can tell something's wrong because you're reactive to everything, the flip out. And then you have this where people don't notice because you just show up. You show up, you push through. Inside, it's like I can feel my body twisting. But you can put on this face and you can show up. And people just like, I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it for the person that's sitting there driving or whatever's happening right now, being twisted inside, and just like, I'm there with you. I'm holding your hand. Like we can get, it's just a moment to not be alone. And I feel like I'm going to throw up. Say something, please.
Do you remember, because it's been a long journey to get to this point where not only will you talk about your anxiety or admit that you have anxiety, let alone come and sit down on a podcast during the midst of it's not an anxiety attack, it's kind of a flare-up of anxiety, I guess is a way to describe it, right?
I want to quit say, I've noticed a pattern that I've been into. I'm sitting here saying my anxiety, and I've stopped saying my anxiety, like owning it, like this is mine, I'm holding on to it. I'm trying to not say that.
What do you say instead? Just anxiety?
I don't even know right now. All I can think of is, this is my anxiety. I'm just like, I'm burping over here. And
do you remember when you first had the thought that maybe I have anxiety?
The thought?
Even though you wouldn't necessarily.
No, but you like, no, the way it was described to me, like it wasn't anxiety. It was like there was something wrong with me. I was being ridiculous. I was acting crazy. I was like all of the things that people just like, you know, this is what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with you. You're broken. You're broken. You're broken. So I didn't really have awareness because my view of anxiety was like, I guess like how I have it now, like the straight up panic attacks where I think I'm dying. You know, the way we work through that, I just like, I didn't really understand that the trauma responses that I was having was like, it was anxiety, and that it was like a fair trauma response because I didn't feel like I was debilitated. What's the word? Debilitated.
Yeah.
Debilitated?
Disabled or debilitated from it. It wasn't debilitating.
Yeah. I felt like I could still like
function.
Even in like the high activation, it was like, I could lash out, I could like withdraw, I could like, there was things I felt like I was still doing things.
Yeah.
Still doing things. I had awareness of depression, but also I would not admit depression.
When did you feel like you started to maybe not outwardly admit these things to other people, but internally start to kind of acknowledge and admit them to yourself? You mister. Me what?
You, that's how it happened. That's when I first started saying it was you. Because you
saw all of my depression and anxiety.
No, I'm sitting here using you statements. I'm coming off it intensely on purpose. You told me. You were like telling me PTSD, anxiety, and I'm like, the fuck I do. Like, the fuck I do.
Even before then, you didn't have it in the back of your mind? Or did you just think you wouldn't allow yourself? It's no judgment, obviously.
No,
right?
I would not allow that to happen because in my mind, from like all of society's things, is that made me weak. That made me weak, and that made me a target, and that made me a victim. Because if I had that, then I wasn't strong enough to get past the shit that had happened. It meant that more things were going to happen, and then it meant that all the people that had caused trauma to me won.
Yeah.
Because here I am. Now I have PTSD. Now I have anxiety or whatever. Now I didn't rise above, because that's all I hear, these survivor stories on no effects. Like, boom, they're still here. They're strong. That's where it gets all. So you either thrive and have no effects, which
isn't reality.
I don't believe that's reality. I'm not going to say that it's not, because my beliefs, like you don't even want beliefs.
I'll say it's not.
Yeah.
It's not reality.
Everything keeps changing. I don't believe that that's reality, but it could be. I'm not saying it can't be somebody's reality. I mean, maybe you're lying to yourself, but maybe not. You know, maybe. So that meant that they won, and I wasn't the thought of abusers and violators that were in my life, pod, that shit's out, that were in my life, winning and still having that power, meaning that I was still in this loop, that I didn't it meant I didn't survive, it meant that I was still there. So admitting it I felt like it would take the last shred of strength that I had to keep me going, because so much of it was so hard to keep going that I wasn't going to give that last piece I had. Like, it felt like death. It felt like I would die, that I wouldn't be able to hang on anymore.
Growing up, do you remember anybody like in your family or, circle of, basically growing up, do you remember anybody having mental illness that was, obviously everybody in your family did.
In hindsight.
But, do you know what I mean? Like, was there the the family friend that was schizophrenic, or the everybody acknowledged that so-and-so had anxiety? Or
let me get clear on that for a minute. Like, I know that there was, like, addicts.
Okay.
There was a strong addict. There was, abuse, but it was never like, it was, we were supposed to like feel bad because this person was abused. So everything was like, well, this is what happened to me. My dad did this. This is how I grew up. So, poor me. So that wasn't like, there was no accountability. Gosh, it was so like, I'm trying so hard, but there was like, there was either, it was weakness or not. It was either you're strong, you shove it down, you keep going, you push through, or you're weak and you're pathetic. Like, there was so much of that. Like, you are like, they're pathetic. When are you going to grow up? Put on your big girl purchases, put like, and if it was a guy,
suck it up already.
It was like the same thing. Like, it was either you were strong or you were weak.
Yeah.
Anything like having meltdowns from having too much trauma, anything. It was trying to get attention and being dramatic, like being like a drama queen, trying to get attention. Everything's about you. Like, it was strong or weak. I can't really think of, it was strong or weak, right or wrong, good or bad. There wasn't any kind of like mental, like an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
It was
a mental illness.
Strong or weak.
Yeah.
And also, like, you either stand by your family and everybody, or you're a piece of shit betrayer. Like, bringing shame. Like, there's like, no, I can't. I mean, I might have to come back to this. There might be a later episode where I say, actually, I remember this now. But in this moment, that's how I can't think of anything other than just like strong or weak.
The reason I ask is because I was just curious if you had some context for it outside of just what was portrayed in society, right?
Yeah.
But obviously it sounds like you didn't. So then you're just left with everything that we're shown, seen, and mental illness. And we've talked about this on the podcast. I grew up on
a military base. It was like strong or weak.
Exactly.
That was it.
Sink or swim.
Yeah.
And it's just never portrayed accurately. And it's getting a little bit better. But I still think it is... it's like everything else. And we did a whole episode on this however long ago about how it's portrayed in, film and TV and things like that. Mm-hmm. But then I think about, because you both of us have anxiety. Mm-hmm. Both of us have a lot of similar mental and emotional issues that literally are the same, and then they just mirror each other. We have the same thing, just from a different side of the aisle kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And
we are trauma survivors.
Yeah, we are.
We are trauma survivors.
We definitely are. And I think about how much I resisted it for so long in this like really, because in my mid-20s, I went to therapy and got very comfortable with thinking that I was cyclothymic, which is like a kind of a lesser degree of bipolar. And I started to just kind of own it. But then it just went away. Not the illness or not the issues, just my acknowledgement of it.
Okay.
And then I went back into that, like back into the fold of denial, where projected everything outwards, right? We now learn and know and understand how much I was projecting onto you, unfortunately. And even like the last 2 days, right? My experience yesterday was completely different than yours.
Tell me.
We have this, we always joke, there's this Kate McKinnon sketch on Saturday Night Live where she gets abducted by aliens and they're getting interviewed by like the CIA and the government, and it's her and Ryan Gosling and then one of the other main actresses on Saturday Night Live. And Ryan Gosling and the other character have like beautiful, enlightening, healing, soft white lights and all this beautiful, amazing stuff. And hers is just a train
My experience was a little bit different.
It's a lot.
her cigarette and just like hanging out like.
And I was, we went out to lunch with Tiffany and Brad afterwards.
It was so nice.
And we had a really nice time. And then we started talking on the drive home, and I was surprised because my experience was very different.
Yeah. I had a good day.
I know. Yeah, I know you had a good day. It was really good. And you had all this other stuff under the surface. I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
Yes, we had the difficult drive-in where we had to go through some stuff and process and communicate, and we did a great job. And that was really hard for me. But you did a wonderful job of supporting me through it, and we got through it together, and I felt really good by the time we ended up at the interview.
Good.
And then the episode was definitely challenging. And
you talked about a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really hard in some regards. I feel like I've told the story of how I've got fired from law enforcement so many times on the podcast.
It's come up a few.
Yeah.
But there's a different level of processing. You're not I'm sorry. I will explain that again in a minute.
Yeah. But I did describe, talking about it on their podcast yesterday, was kind of the clearest, most truthful, honest way that I've ever spoken about it before. And a lot of stuff came up, but I felt okay moving through it.
Yeah.
I had you there with me. I love Brad and Tiffany. It was a great environment, all these kind of different things. It wasn't super triggering or challenging. It was just kind of emotionally hard. So even what I'm getting at is I struggle in the exact same ways that you do with anxiety. It will kick my ass some days. It will be the type of thing that wipes me out for a day or two or three or a week, where it's just really, really hard to cope and manage. And even though I have that experience, sometimes it's hard for me to remember what it's like in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And so it's like you're going through what you've been going through the last 2 days. And I have to remind myself that I know what that's like, because it gets frustrating on the flip side. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like this challenge of, oh, wait a minute. It's really, really, really hard.
You were literally going through it on the way there.
I know.
And you already forgot? All right.
I might have some short-term memory issues. Been through quite a bit of
you
trauma.
act like it's been so long, but
I'm just saying
it was like 12 hours ago.
What I think I'm talking about and what I'm trying to explain and get to is, for me, I feel like that's how ingrained the societal programming is. That it's still, even though I am experiencing it on a regular basis, there's still a part of me, like my ego or the shadow inside of me or whatever, right? And I find that fascinating. It's frustrating as hell for me, because I want to be so compassionate, and I try to be so compassionate the majority of the time.
I could tell.
right?
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for that.
And it's really, I wish like it would be a lot easier if you would just admit it. Because when I'm like checking in and you're not admitting like that it's frustrating or that you're overwhelmed or whatever, I can feel that it's off.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget that that means like I should just like step back at that point instead of like I keep going for reassurance because I know it's bullshit. And so I can feel that it's a lie.
But see, it's not bullshit and a lie though.
Okay. Okay. So
Bullshit
those were harsh
yeah.
words, but also you're not being honest, and I will say it. You're not honest in that moment with me.
Can I tell you what it is for me?
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a lack of compassion. It's not a lack of truthfulness or honesty. I'm really trying to show up for you.
Yeah. What if you just said that?
What do you mean? Like if I just say I'm really trying to show up for you?
I like immediately felt calmer. Just like, thank you for saying the truth. Cause like, it's so like I have to like push away from you to feel okay. Like we were doing our own things for most of the day and I felt fine.
Yeah.
But once we come back, like I start to have that.
What if this is the shadow of our relationship?
I feel like I need a second.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm activated already. So this was like, my instinct is to check out. I'm like, see what you're going to say. I'm done now. Like, I'm like, it's not going to be like, I know better than to lean on you. I know better. Like if I can feel it's off, listen to it and back off. Like showing you this stuff. It's like, I'm getting like that shadow coming up. I'm like, see, it was weakness. I shouldn't have showed you. Like, I'm like, that's a mistake. I won't make that again. Like, I will fix this. I get it. Like the shadow that's coming up right now is very much telling me like, I'm so mad. I don't want to sit here with you. I want to get the fuck out. And like, I'm going to stay because I know this is just a panic reaction. It's just a reaction. And like, I'm like regulating. And I know it's just because I am so having such a hard time. Yeah, I'm just going to listen to what you have to say for a minute.
Can you relate at all? Is there sometimes when I'm in my experience, is there times when this is what it feels like for me, Steph. It isn't a matter of like it's too much or you're too much or none of those things run through my head. Truthfully, what it is it feels like I like in a perfect world, there would be nothing else that we would have to deal with, and I could just show up and support you the way that I want to. I want to show up in this really fully present, compassionate, loving way and support you through whatever you're going through. And sometimes that does happen because we don't have anything else happening. And then sometimes we have other things happening and other obligations and kids and life and do you know what I mean? So then it's trying to mitigate obligation versus all these kind of different things, right? Like the obligation isn't what I'm saying about you. It's just like, you know, we've got to do this or we've got to do that or all these kind of other life things that are going on. And so That's the part that starts to get frustrating, is I can't do everything that I want to do in that moment for you and be there with you in this really compassionate, loving way. And that starts to become the frustrating aspect of it. But that's a hard thing to kind of verbalize and express in those moments. And ultimately, the thing that I'm so frightened of is pushing you away. I never want you to recoil and recede in like this wounded, hurt way. So I'm very, very afraid of that. But obviously it's an area that we have work to do. So I'm asking, like, can you relate to that at all, where sometimes there's so much other stuff that's going on that it feels frustrating that you can't show up for me in the way that you want to?
Yeah.
So you can relate a little bit with that. Okay. Do you think that we need to come up with like a plan for how to move through some of these situations? Would you like to try to do that now?
No, I don't want to do that right now. I feel like, no, I don't know. Like, I felt confident coming in and being like, okay, this is, and talking about it.
Yeah. But now not anymore.
No, not anymore. You're like, I feel really uncomfortable.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I can relate to all of it.
Yeah. I wanted to be able to like show practical, but I'm like, it's just fuck. But like everything that I've been feeling and trying to get through. That definitely speaks to the shadow. That points back to you're either strong or weak. Because I feel like that's just what you're like, you're too much. Like, yeah, I know. And then I'm like, hey, I carry a lot of shit. And not all that shit is mine. So I'm not going to take that.
Yeah, it's not yours.
Yeah.
None of this is ours.
So I'm just going to like, it's going to bring like, breath has been helping.
Has it?
When you tell me,
go ahead.
You saw me what?
I can't remember when it was, but I saw you doing, maybe it was on the drive home yesterday, or I saw you doing some breath work.
Yeah. It's helping. It helps regulate. It helps slow. However, when you start telling me how to breathe,
that's not helpful.
Well, sometimes I can, right? Lately it's been like, say exhale one more fucking time. Like,
Samuel Jackson, Pulp
right.
Fiction. Say what?
Yeah. So I just had to like breathe a little bit also. It's kind of hard to like figure out how to take those breaths that you need to regulate your body while the camera's on you and a microphone's in your face, because I just like can hear it all. But I just needed you to take a moment and get some breaths in, because it is uncanny how much that helps. Like I'm already feeling like I was getting pretty worked up. I was like fighting back tears, like so much shame. I was ready to like run out of here. And then I was going to get in a vehicle. I don't know which one. And I was planning my escape. And I'm like, just take some breaths. I'm like having that like, I prefer communicating when it's hard. I prefer you telling me if it's hard. I can tell, like, I know that my sign that when things aren't being honest for however reason is when I start panicking and going for reinsurance on something, like reassurance on something. I know that when I'm like looking to you and like, tell me this, are you sure? Are you sure? I know as soon as I start, are you suring?
Something's off.
It's because it's off.
Yeah.
And it's because you're not, because when you give me truth, it's like, okay.
Can you think of some verbiage that would help in those moments that I could use?
That you could use? Yeah. The truth.
It doesn't feel safe for me.
Okay. Well,
so think about,
I don't know what to tell you then, Craig.
can I help understand? Like, I'd like
God,
to.
my nose itches. Hold on. No, like we'll come back. I had another direction that I wanted to go.
Okay.
Like practical applications. Like it doesn't feel safe for you. Like in this moment, I'm actually kind of upset. I am a little upset with you. So like I'm like my vocabulary, like the tape that's in my head is like, oh, that doesn't feel safe for you. Let me walk you through my day of shit that doesn't feel fucking safe, Craig. Like, yeah, this behavior, when this happened, when you did this, like that doesn't, so being honest. And then it's that like that same verbiage, suck it the fuck up, be honest. Do you hear how that like flips back?
I do.
So go from the stronger weak.
I do.
Yeah. And so then to go into that is it hard for you to be honest? Suck it up.
Right.
Be honest. Instead of being like, oh, you were activated too. And that was scary for you. And you're trying to be supportive. So how do you say that? And I can think of a great example of where I did it. And it's like, look, I did it. It's not hard. Ask me to tell you a second example. I'm trying. I can't think of a second one. I've got a really good one, which proves you should do it and it shouldn't be hard.
Right.
But I can't tell you two. So I feel you like that. What kind of verbiage? I don't know.
I've never had awareness.
I can tell you my one example.
Go ahead.
And that maybe like that'll like open like the floodgates of, I was beyond activated when we were driving in and trying to go through that, and you letting me know your needs and trying to like, I realizing in this moment, you like verbalized it so beautifully. And I had to like pull myself together. You're like, you just communicated your needs and where you're at. Can I meet these needs? Yes. And I need to get a grip. So, so I could relate. I'm having like, I'm keep like choking on my, like, I got to get air out.
And cough drop?
No, it's cough drop isn't going to work with what's happening inside my body. This is anxiety. This is anxiety. This is forgetting to breathe out. This is trying to like talk with choking on air. Anyways, realizing I had to like shut kind of these parts down just a little bit, like, hold on, there's going to be time we can step into this space. But I was still taking care of myself and those needs. So I was stepping into that. And like, we're going down I-15 in 5 lanes and a carpool lane, and there's traffic everywhere. And I was having a hard time feeling safe because I get really stressed out on the freeways, depending on where we're at or who's driving. Usually I'm not with you, but the anxiety was there. And you wanted me to look at you. You needed to feel me looking at you. And I was like, I can do everything but that. I can do, like, I am here with you. So I feel like there's my example, right? I communicated, I was there, I was supportive. And I said, now this is something that I can't do. I didn't have to do everything. I didn't have to push that aside and like be so fucking scared and looking at you. I could sit with you in that moment, give you what you needed, and then caretake that part of me that says I'm scared and I need this, and be like, and then I communicated that clearly. This is what I need. I can sit here with you, but I need to watch the traffic. I wasn't driving, I was passenger, but I still needed to be like, so there's my, like, what can we create out of this one moment of done right? How can we like stir that in the pot or plant it in the garden and help it grow?
That helped me so much in that moment as well.
Okay.
I love it when you express your needs as clearly as you did in that moment.
Okay.
It immediately shifts everything, and it frees up like this, like from this really kind of what it's bringing up for me, Steph, is when I'm little, it's the same thing that you're talking about now, where it's like, you know, something is off, but you're trying to guess.
Mm-hmm.
And 99% of the time it results in abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a part of you that is like, there's still a part of me. I can experience it from my perspective.
Nice shift to eye language.
Of, I'm frightened because I know something is wrong. I have no idea what it is, and I'm trying to guess, and I'm hoping it's not what I think it is. And that it's something as simple as spilled milk.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the time it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I think it is, and it results in abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so then having you, like yesterday, for example, clearly state, I could not even, that made no sense to me until you said it.
Okay.
That would have never been something that I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Right? I would have never guessed that you needed to pay attention to the road, because that helped alleviate anxiety and stress for you in the moment. And as soon as you said it, it made perfect sense, and it just brought everything down for me inside, and it helped deregulate some of what I was experiencing. And I never realized why it is so scary for me to express to you at certain times what I'm feeling. Because it's almost like either one of my parents, it doesn't matter which one it was or which one it is, because they both did it at times. But I can't even imagine them, like, imagine in the midst of one of those intense, fearful, chaotic moments as a child, when you can tell that something is wrong, and then your parent coming to you and saying, what are you feeling right now? Like, tell me what you're feeling and be truthful. Don't lie to me. Tell me what you're feeling right now. I'm fine. Everything's okay. Are you hungry? No. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I never realized that. I know you're not mad at me, right? That's not what I'm saying. It's not like, it's not that you're angry at me in those moments. It's that I'm scared in those moments, mm-hmm. because the person that I love is dysregulated. And I want to show up from this really higher self perspective and support you. But I have this little boy inside of me that is so frightened and nervous because I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Right? Oftentimes I don't know what is the cause of whatever you're experiencing and feeling. And that just helps my analytical brain. I know that I don't need to know the cause of it. I can just recognize it as the experience that you're having and show up in this loving, supportive way. But I also have another part of me operating, right, where mm-hmm. in order for me to feel safe, I need things in that analytical flow of cause and effect, and then we have a result, and then we have an outcome, and then I have a role to play, and I have something that I can actually do. Otherwise, I'm in the same place of something is wrong. I don't know what it is. It's definitely my fault. If I say anything, it's going to result in abuse. I'll just stick with this. Everything's fine. I'm here to help. Da, 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 da. We have some shadow in this space.
So with everything that we've just said, you're like, you were looking for verbiage on ways, because I'm like, communicate the truth, and you're just like, this is why it's
The
hard.
truth hurts.
I agree.
Like, not from you, but
I know what you're
I mean?
saying. Yeah, I agree. Like,
The little kid says, tell me the truth.
like I'm sitting over here, like feeling like I was also in that moment, like talking about the anxiety and the panic that was feeling and the stressors, being truthful in that, and having you be like, that was a lot. That was getting like annoyed. Like that was immediately like, fuck, there's all this stories true. Like I'm too much. That was, I shouldn't have showed you that. You're using that against me. It's like, come here. It's safe. It's safe. You can talk to me. It's safe. You can talk to me. And finally you talk, and they're like, now I know exactly how to fucking hurt you. And I'm going to use it immediately and hurt you and hurt you. That's mine.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what you did. And I was like, trying to breathe. But your thing was like helping you with the verbiage.
Yeah. Some things that I can say to you that would. So
but hold on. Because we just like went through that. So you were activated. I was able to show up, but I was also activated.
Yes.
And then I communicated truthfully the thing that you're saying. You're looking for the verbiage. I did that. And how did that make you feel when I said, I'm here with you. I can do all those things, but I need this to feel safe.
Yeah.
What did that feel like inside of you?
Like I said, it's super relaxed.
I gave you the truth.
Yeah.
And that was like a light feeling.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we get to do here is we're practicing like the way things were. Other people is not the way that we are.
Right. That's not our stuff.
That's not our stuff.
It's not our beliefs. It's not how we move through life.
You give me your truth, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I'm here. We can move through this. I give you my truth, and you're like, I feel comfort in that. That makes total sense. I'm okay. You seem to relax with that. And it's like, whew, you knew I was supporting you, and I was being honest with my needs. So I think that's like, maybe it's not so much the verbiage as it is remembering that. The truth feels light. The truth feels light. I'm not saying go talk to a parent with the truth, but where you and I are right here, and like, you know who your safe people are, like out there, people, audience, watching, listening to
Pepsi.
Energy is Love podcast.
Right. Number one fan, Pepsi.
Right? You know who your safe people are, and you know the people that you can't, that are not your safe people, even though you keep trying, because that's one of the, you keep trying to make a unsafe person a safe person, because you're stuck in that loop. You're stuck there. So you keep trying, and you're convinced that's something you're doing wrong. So you just need to do better. So it's like, that's the whole fucked up abuse loop here. And like, watch, like careful with that.
I'll practice
but for
it.
those, like and I will have more than one example of being able to communicate, because communicating my needs, saying I have a need, that's a practice for me. That is so hard.
Yeah.
That is work. That is what we have been working through, each of us. That is applications that we are doing. That is like trial and error, healing, trying to work through all this, being able to even first recognize that you have a need. And that you're allowed to like express it.
Right.
You know, like, no, I'm good. Everything's fine. You want to do this? Fine. Like, and to the point to where you like end up snapping, because so you can only go so long with nothing before you have a breakdown. And then you're like, oh, what happens when you have the breakdown? I'm sorry. You have a breakdown, and then you're like, you make that your fault too. Like, so many times when I finally hit my point, my breaking point, and then we have a conversation, then boom, I'm like pulling it back. Like, oh, I can see where I was wrong. I can see where I did that wrong. I can see I need to do better. You're right. I need therapy. Like, all of these things were just like, I communicated a need, but it came out like boom, to prove that my needs were not valid, that my needs were an indulgence, were an over the top, were unnecessary, we're over dramatic, we're drama queen, we're greedy, we're selfish, because look at how I just displayed it. Nothing, kaboom. Oops. So yeah, so practice.
That thing of just having awareness that you have needs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of my brain that's like, of course, everybody has needs. But when you said that, I realized that the majority of my life, all of those quote unquote needs were kept inside of my head. And I cared for myself with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So everything became my responsibility. So it's like it's not that I didn't have needs. It's that I was unaware that I had needs, that I could speak.
Yeah.
Everything was internalized. It was always like, I'm hungry. It's not even just that. It's like, there was something about how you said that just really, I heard differently. So that's an important thing, right?
Yeah.
Not only realizing that you have needs, but then just like pausing right there. Like, you have needs as a human, right? You need love. You need compassion.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be heard. You need to be seen. These are like basic human needs.
Yeah.
You need physical touch that is like safe. You need, all of these things are needed in order to be like a regulated, healthy, balanced, emotional person.
Exactly. But what is even the healthy community, like the spiritual community? What are they teaching you when it comes to those kind of needs? Like you just said, what are they teaching you?
Tell me.
It's something that we've both heard a lot. You know,
Self-love.
You need to love yourself first.
Self-love.
Self-love. Why is self-love important?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Having self-love, self-worth isn't, but like, do you need somebody else? No. He needs you. You can give you everything you need. Everything you need is in yourself.
Yeah, that's
everything you need is right here. You just need to love yourself. Everything else, it won't even like affect you. Like if other people are, like if you're giving your energy to somebody else, if you let them affect you, you're giving your energy to that person. If they do something hurtful and you let it be hurtful, you're giving them your energy. Why would you do that? Hold your energy. Nobody can hurt you if you do that. You've got you.
Yeah, that's like 10th degree black belt spiritual person, right?
I feel like that is 10th degree black belt narcissistic gaslighter person.
Well, I think there's a really, I agree. The narcissist flips that, right?
Yeah.
I do think that there is a place where you can love yourself and allow other people to love you, like those needs.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's a place to get to where you can do both of those things in a really pure, healthy, balanced way. But if that narrative is, you have to do one before the other, or you're not going to be...
You only need one.
Right. Self-love is the only love that you need.
Just as much as you can't get everything you need solely from somebody else, you also need that within you. You can't get everything that you need solely from yourself.
Yeah.
We are connection beings. We need connection.
Yeah. I don't think you can get everything by yourself.
You can't. You can't.
Yeah. Even if you're just super enlightened and sitting in a cave somewhere and meditating 23 hours a day. I mean, even then you're not alone. Like that's the mind fuck of it, right? Self-love isn't singular.
Yeah.
There's love in that phrase. Self, love. What's love? Everything. Literally. So you're not alone. You're actually connected to everyone. So it's not a singular practice of me sitting there or moving through life learning how to love myself, right? I'm so like self-love is so important, but it's not a singular act. When you're in love, when you're in self-love, you're in like the ocean of everybody else. You're connected to love itself, right? So you're not alone. You're with the universe. So it's the mind fuck of thinking that you're by yourself, but in reality, You're here with all the rest of us in this big expansive place. That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. I was going to like get off on, that's bad. Go off on like another tangent with that. There's like, but I can't remember the study. Oh, it was another, because they have like failure. You're familiar with, okay, so there's failure to thrive. And it's, you can take an infant and their basic needs are met.
Mm-hmm.
They have food, they're kept clean, they have warmth, they have shelter. You know, they have what they need to survive, but they are not held. They are not cuddled. They are not nurtured. They are not interacted with. And that will deplete their growth, their cognitive, their physical health, and they can die from that. It's a failure to thrive. They had, oh my gosh, when was it? It was like the early 1900s, 1920 or something. I'm sorry that I'm just going to try my best and just know that I'm getting some things off because I can't remember the exact verbiage of it. But there was a psychology, like they decided that in order, like the kids that were clingy and from the attachments, it's one of the attachment things from having an anxious attachment before that, the verbiage for that, but people that were clingy was because they were cared for too much by their parents. They were cared. So they had psychology come out and they're like, if you want a healthy child, if you want a happy child, if you want a well-adjusted child, then you cannot coddle them. You cannot like give them all that comfort and all that care and attention, like soothing your kid. You need to like, they need that distance immediately. It's not holding them when they cry. They need that distance in order to become well-adjusted, functioning adults. And they were like, oh God, there was some terrible comment. I'm not even going to get it right. Anyways, so they went off this. Like, this is how they were programming. DCFS was getting involved. Like, they would pull kids from the home if they were showing like too much of that affection, or if like they were having these anxious attachments or having these like outbursts at school because they were thinking they were getting too much of that attention. We're like, this is not how kids thrive. Kids thrive by distance. By distance, they teach them to secure themselves. And they started realizing that the same thing was happening, is that these kids were suddenly, their physiques were smaller. Their cognitive was limited. They were failing to thrive from these bases. Now they're coming through and changing that and like, no, it's okay when they're infants.
When Maddie was born, when she was really little, like baby, right? Newborn baby. We had a doctor tell us to let her cry herself to sleep.
Mm-hmm. I was told that.
Yeah. Put her in the crib and let her cry herself to sleep. If you want her to stop crying, because she won't stop crying, right? Unless you hold her. The fix for that is to just let her cry it out.
Let them cry.
And yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah.
But that's ridiculous, right? I mean, that was in 2002.
Yeah.
That was
I heard that with
1940.
Asher. I tried that. He climbed out of the crib.
Yeah.
He was like, Mom, you're going to hold me.
Yeah.
I'll come to you, lady. And I was like, okay, come here.
It seemed like 4 or 5 hours later
Right?
when she was still crying.
And you were like, fuck that.
This.
Yeah. So that's still a thing. And now they're flipping it with adults and the attachment styles that we're learning about and going over. You have the anxious attachment, avoidant, or secure. And now they were even saying, like with this book, that anxious avoidant is very, very rare. And that's bullshit.
Right?
Like there's just so much they don't have. And they're just still playing that with adults, is that the only way is secure. And if you have an anxious attachment style or an avoidant attachment style, you are wrong.
Then you got to work towards secure.
You have to work towards, and now why not, right? Secure is, but making you wrong. And so if you need like connection like this, guess what? That is what humans need.
Exactly.
They need this. They need that, just
We're
a hand
holding hands if you're
hands.
only listening. Yeah.
And that's, this can also sound hopeless. like for those who don't have this connection. But maybe there's other ways, you know, it's not always a lover.
Yeah.
Which is great when it is, but it's not always that. There's different, like this is such a deep conversation, and it just takes off because now we are going, and I don't want to do it an injustice, but just that part of stop hurting yourself by saying all you need is yourself. That is also a way that they're trying to like take the emotions out of people and just take the emotions out, make it stronger. Like that was so much. I prided myself on not, you know, I didn't need anybody. I could take care of all these things. To need somebody, I would get
you.
Needing would be stuck someplace.
I need you.
I still struggle there, but I need you.
Yeah.
And then when I finally tell you I need you, I feel like how many times have I caveated that and been like I'll be fine. Like I don't like.
When I say I need you, I don't mean you. I need you all the
right.
time. Like,
I just write. This is
just
what I love and health, and I
sometimes.
try and like really like downplay that.
I need you every day. Legitimately every day.
I need you every day.
There is nothing that makes me happier. I mean, there's lots of things that make me happy, but the level of happiness that I get from waking up every day with you and going to bed every day with you it's like the bookends of my day that regulate and make my day what it is. And the days that hasn't happened feel off.
Yeah.
I'm really excited that we get to do so much work in healing from all of this stuff, as well as like moving forward in life together in all of this stuff. I am going to practice speaking truthfully to you during times of heightened emotional experiences that we both have. I'm doing really good at speaking it when I'm the one that's having the anxiety panic attack.
So good. Amazing.
Yeah.
That right there, before you just like sit with that for a moment, because that is new. That is new. That is something that you have. That is a growth. That is amazing. That is such a beautiful thing that you've been able to step into and embody.
And now I can practice it when I'm on the flip side of that.
Yeah. When
I'm sitting on the opposite side of it.
You can.
And being able to speak my needs in those moments as well.
I believe in you.
That's my commitment to you.
That's your commitment to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you.
I'm going to do that.
I hear you.
You just burped?
I did.
That's okay.
I'm super nervous and I have like all of this. Like I'm still in anxiety. Like I sat down in this.
This podcast didn't fix it?
No.
Oh, baby.
I know. It's not about fixing it. It was about like just sitting in it and still functioning. And I was going to talk about how breath helped last night when it was almost the level of, and I haven't had one of these for a while where I thought I was having a heart attack. I could feel that pain building.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to the podcast. Go to energieslovepodcast.com. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just going to ramble.
I know we're going to do it off with like, I wanted to like give a practical exercise and I don't feel like I can now. Not because of you. Like I'm like over here, like it's the end. It's the end. How do you like practical
What's a really
exercise?
practical exercise? What's one that you're implementing as of late that's really useful for you?
Okay, just a simple one. Just a simple. There's so many breath techniques. I want to give them like all the ones that I use, but just one of the simple ones is belly breathing. And just sitting there when you can't, like you're driving, however, just feel your stomach expand, and just like a slow inhale, just like really watching where you're at, because chances are your breath is shallow and it's rapid. And if you feel like you can't get a belly breath in, it's where your belly starts to expand, and just sit there and just like let your belly expand while you're slowly breathing through your nose. If you feel like you can't, then go right to the exhale and work on a slow exhale through your nose by pulling your stomach in, just like, and just helping like bring it in, like taking your navel, like there's a string on your belly button, and just pulling it back towards your spine so that you can just allow that exhale. And then after you get that air out and push a little bit more, then go with the inhale, just super slow through your nose, where you allow your belly to come out like a Buddha belly. And then slowly pull it back in, pull that string. And if you need to visualize that string on your belly button, just using your stomach muscles to pull it in, and just slowing your breath just in and out, in and out. Even if you need like a string, do that with a string on the outside of your belly button, pulling it out.
We should do that together.
String on the inside, so pulling it in.
I pull your belly out.
Yeah.
And then you pull my belly in. And we just sit there and do that
just
together.
kind of back and forth. So that is just like one of the simple ones that is going to help start moving oxygen, getting the carbon monoxide out, the oxygen in. I'm panicking on that, like more breaths. But when you're slowing your breath, you are telling your body that it can relax. And so it's not about trying to calm your thoughts and get your mind and not think about things. You're using your body to tell your mind instead of trying to tell your mind to tell your body. So those slow breaths, your body thinks, oh, I'm safe. Okay, I'm breathing slow, which means there's no danger. I can start to relax and help your energy start to slow down. And then you're feeding your body the oxygen that it needs, and more importantly, getting the what it doesn't need out. You're allowing that release to come through, which is going to calm you more, because when you're stressed, you're holding your breath. So those exhales are more important than the inhales, because it's letting your body know and your mind know that you are safe. So string out, string in slowly through your nose.
I love it. We'll see you guys next week or next episode.